DMB maintains a fuel register which ensures that the amounts expended on fuel are reconciled with the charge bills and invoices.
Mr. Chairman, 327.
Go ahead.
At C, could the permanent secretary indicate what was the cause or what was the reason that excuse me, that there was no reconciliation with Guile for the period? What led to that? I mean, this is an entire year.
I will introduce the answer first, and I'll ask Mr. Simmons to add if needs be. Just a bit of history. In 2015, when the previous administration came into being, there was the e-government unit which functioned, and the Tourism Ministry of Commerce was divided into the Ministry of Business and the Ministry of Tourism. The Ministry of Tourism operated a Colvin House, and that ministry was focusing on tourism per se and the Outer Conference Center. In
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time of night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down.
But an additional 300, which you had sometime in 2015, were damaged. So, sorry, 2,900 of them of you paid for it. It says nowhere here it says it's a donation. I thought, as a accounting officer, you could have corrected the audit office at that time of your when you were responding.
But more than that, if I may add also to you what Comrade Patterson is raising, the matter that is here that indicates that the police report is dealing with is 103 stolen laptops. So 9,609 laptops were paid for, and I am not prepared to accept the PS telling us that it's a donation, given what Comrade Patterson indicated. This finding would have had to gone to him first before it was put here and made public. and 2,959 damaged, which leaves us with 6,650, 103 stolen. So there were 6,547 laptops that were either donated or distributed to, for whatever cause this was for. So I'm not prepared to accept that it is that they didn't get I think what you're talking about concerning the police has to do with the 103 stolen laptops. I'm not sure if the police is involved, and probably you can clarify if the police is involved in this 2,959 laptops that were damaged. I don't know if they're involved in that. And if the police is involved in this entire matter, then the 6,547 laptop got to be somewhere parked up if it's a police case.
Yes, PS, can you respond to the question?
Mr. Chair, at this stage, I'd like to seek permission from this committee to have PS Moore, Ms. PS Sabina Moore, appear, or to seek information from her as to having an accurate response to this matter.
Can the AG office provide some clarity here, because it is the AG's report that is reflecting that these laptops were paid for, and the report I believe would have been substantiated with evidence of payment. So can the AG office AG, can you provide some clarity here, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ask Mr. Dagger.
Mr. Fasad?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In 2015, 2.631 billion was allocated.
Okay, go that figure, please, again.
2.631 billion was allocated under the e-governance project, of which 2.533 billion was expended. So,
Chair, I missed the figures, sorry.
okay,
The first figure is 2.631.
31 billion.
This
It was allocated in 2015. So I'm giving a background, so I'll come to the expenditure of the laptops. Of this, 2.533 billion was expended. Included in the sum expended was $1.607 billion, which were paid for the purchase of 9,609 laptops.
9,609.
So repeat to who?
I do have the information on the name of the entity. I think it's Huawei. If I remember correctly. I think it's Huawei. Yeah,
Can you say what was the cost for one unit?
All right. I can do a simple mathematical calculation.
But that one probably would.
Yeah. I actually did the calculation for those that were damaged and
Well, can you
those that
tell
were
us-
purportedly stolen. So I got those figures.
So can you tell us those figures then?
Yeah, sure.
So we could work it out back.
Well, the damage one is 495 million as
Correct.
stated here, right?
That is correct. And 103 stolen, the approximate cost is 17.228 million.
I'm not finished, Comrade Edghill. Mr. Cummins, you assumed PS of the Ministry of Public Telecommunications in 2015, am I correct?
There was no Ministry of Public Telecommunications in 2015. I'll give the background. The Ministry of Public Telecommunications came into being in January of 2016.
Oh, January of 2016. So, in 2015, this operation was under Ministry of the Presidency.
That's correct.
And when the computers were paid for, they were paid for from Ministry of the Presidency's fund.
I would say that they were acquired through the Ministry of by the Ministry of the Presidency.
So this 2015 allocation of 2.631 billion is from Ministry of the Presidency that had a specific department that was dealing with public telecom, with e-governance.
It's e-governance project. Yeah.
Okay, so the 1.607 billion was expended in 2015 from the e-governance allocation. And in 2016, when these laptops came in February, now Ministry of Public Telecommunication was established in January of 2016. So in February of 2016, when these computers came, they were dealt with at that time by Ministry of Public Telecommunication. So the Ministry of Public Telecommunication received the 9,609 laptops.
I think the Mr. Member is that they would have come to the NDMA, and my recollection is that these were laptops for the one teacher per family, one laptop per teacher. Sorry, but everything, even though the Ministry of the Public Health was the accounting agency, this would have gone through straight to the NDMA.
So
I'm trying to clarify from the Deputy General Manager.
No, but what I'm trying to listen, e-governance was under Ministry of the Presidency. We established that and that's in 2015. 2016, there was the creation of the Ministry of Public Telecommunication. E-governance was moved from Ministry of the Presidency and put under Ministry of Public Telecommunication. So when e-governance was moved, all the allocations that belong to e-governance was also moved and became an what do you call it? A department under not the finances.
That is what I was about to
If the
conclude.
finances is expended in a particular fiscal year, it has to be accounted for in the agency that received it.
But that's 2015. So 2016 allocation would fall under the Ministry of Public Telecommunication. Good. But the money was expended on the Ministry of the Presidency in 2015. But the tangible thing, the computer, you received it in 2016 of February because e-governance was with you in 2016.
I tried to give a background earlier. There was a staggered taking over of the responsibilities between January of 2016, when the Ministry of Public Telecommunications was created. For instance, the tourism function still remained within the Ministry of Public Telecommunications until I think it was of the mid of the year when a new budget was introduced. And many matters, it wasn't like cut off in December of 2015 and start as assumed responsibility in January of 2016. There was a phasing out. So even the tourism ministry, the tourism aspect, did not go back to the Ministry of Business until late in the year. The consumer protection aspect did not go back to the Ministry of Business until late in the year. Similarly, the operations of the government did not really come over fully to the Ministry of Public Health until late in the year because you would have had to do all the necessary protocols and have all the arrangements. Exactly. So even though that's showing that the responsibility is there's some aspect of responsibility and supervision that was maintained by the agencies. Office of the President, Ministry of the Presidency.
But I get that, yes, I get that. Now, my concern is in 2016 of February, you received 9,609, and I'll say you, meaning the ministry, received 9,609 laptops. 2017 has passed, 2018 has passed, 2019 has passed, 2020 has passed, and we're in 2021. And still the guidance that we're getting from the AG here is that he also wants to know what action is being taken to replace the 2,959 laptops or recover the cost of approximately 495 million. And he also wants to know what is the current status of the stolen laptops, Now, this is a matter that was picked up in 2016. You were there in 2017, 2018, 2019. And I'm sure, I don't have the AG's report with me here, but I'm sure that given what is we're being briefed with here, this is a matter that we occurred in the AG's report in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and I have no doubt it is in 2021 also. So the exact word, which means all the AG had to do was to cut this paragraph and paste it in the other report. So there was no action on the part of you, Mr. Cummins, to address this matter. Is that what I'm? Is it a fair conclusion? And taking into account when you say, I want you to address the part where you said that this matter is engaging the police. What is engaging the police? The 103 laptops that are stolen, the 2,959 that are damaged, or all 9,609?
To answer the last question first, the 103 laptop that was stolen, engaging.
That alone is engaging the
Yes.
police. So the other laptops were distributed, and then you have now the damaged sets. What was done in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 concerning these laptops?
I will say to this committee that I did not take any action regarding the stolen laptops because
Not the
the
stolen,
damaged
damaged.
laptops, because I think being a technical aspect of the work of the ministry under the National Data Management Authority, I was looking to them, or they would have been the person that I should have been monitoring to ask about it. And I will say, based on how you put it up to me, I will say that I did not take any active, conclusive action to deal with the damaged laptops.
Can you hear?
Now we have Ms. Pollard to respond with regards to the question posed by the honorable member concerning the actions taken about these missing laptops. Mr.
Missing or
Pollard,
damaged
yes.
laptops?
The damaged
Damaged-
laptops.
Sir, as far as I can recall, no action was taken against the supplier to have these laptops replaced.
Chair, I'm not hearing.
Was the supplier informed of the damages to the laptops?
Yes, so it was informed, and I believe the damage was due to, I think it was heat or the length of time that the laptops were there that weren't utilized. These were Great Wall laptops, and the quality was extremely poor. Quality of the laptops were extremely poor. I think they couldn't withstand the length of time being stored. And so some of the batteries were swollen and so on. But to get back to the point, I don't believe any action was taken against the vendor to replace these 2,950.
Could you say when the discovery of this large amount of damaged laptops were made known, for you to write the supplier to engage him or to inform him rather of the damage of so much laptops? How long after being in receipt of the laptops you discovered that so much was damaged for you to write and inform him that, this is the reality? Could you say that?
No, sir, I can't. I won't be able to answer that
Don't get
question
it before me,
accurately.
man.
Chairman,
Proceed, sir.
I would just like to sequence some things and see if we could find some answers here. The representative of the audit office told us that in the budget of 2015, 2.631 billion was appropriated for the purchase of laptops on the 2.631 was the total appropriation for this department. Am I correct?
That is correct.
And 1.607 was used to purchase.
That is correct.
That's under the Ministry of the Presidency. Good. Thanks. Secondly, these laptops, all 9,600, and 9 were delivered.
That's the question, sir.
Yeah.
I believe so, sir, yes.
So the,
No. We need accuracy. We want your beliefs. We need you to ascertain if it is was delivered or not.
Yes, sir, the laptops were delivered.
good. And if this was paid for in 2015, I want to remind us that we didn't have a budget until August, September of 2015. When were these laptops delivered? So they came in February 2016, according to the note here. They're sequencing, right? At the time of February 2016, the Ministry of Public Telecommunications was already created. It was paid for by the Ministry of the Presidency, but when it came to the country, it had a Ministry of Public Telecommunications. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the Auditor General, he's not in the room, to indicate if the Gazette indicated that the e-governance unit was transferred to the Ministry of Public Telecommunications at the time of its creation. Because every ministry, the Gazette will tell you the agencies that fall under it for the purposes of accounting, and that is how the Auditor General will have to ascribe blame or credit. Because the PS is saying that there was some handover, takeover, teaching problems that went down late in the year. Will we be able to know that now, or there's something we have to check on? So we need to know the gazetted position as of January 2016. Because if so be the case, if this was paid for by the Ministry of the Presidency, it should have been delivered to the Ministry of the Presidency and handed over by the Ministry of the Presidency to the Ministry of Public Telecommunications for proper accountability, because the money was paid for by the Ministry of the Presidency. So it has to be able to go into the record of the Ministry of the Presidency to show that monies that were expended, the goods were satisfactorily received, and you clear that, and then it is handed over to the new agency as per Gazette for management and distribution. Was that done? It's still a purchase of the Ministry of the Presidency. Yes, their money spent. They have to bring it to book.
All right. Yes, Mr. Patterson.
I waited on an answer. Yes, I waited on the answer. The PS ended answering, and the Auditor General could help.
Sir, the Gazette, I can't remember the exact date of the Gazette, but the Ministry of Public Telecommunications, for which I was accounting officer at that time, did not receive any detailed documentation or handover of these laptops.
So even though you're asked to account for it in the 2016 audit report, this was not a matter that was handled by the ministry that you were the permanent secretary for.
Yes, sir.
This was purely handled by the Ministry of the Presidency.
Yes, sir.
And that is why your earlier referral to the PS of the President of Ministry of the Presidency to answer and provide more details.
Yes, sir.
So even though it is stated here that it's under your ministry, I would like the audit office to verify the gazetted responsibilities of the ministry and the date of the gazette to determine how we could have the Ministry of the Public Telecommunications accounting a PAC for an action undertaken by the Ministry of the Presidency and was not properly handed over to the Ministry of Public Telecommunications. Because that is a serious matter. It's not a small matter.
Mr.
Chair.
Patterson, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking at the 2015 Auditor General's report, sorry, looking at 2015 Auditor General to shed some light. During, and I'm quoting paragraph 184 on page 94. During 2015, the sum of 2.553 billion was expended on the final payment, right, of 54 LTC sites, supply of telecommunication equipment, payment for the 9,000 Great Wall laptops. So this here, sir, is a contract that was ongoing, and the final payment, right? So therefore, obviously, the final, and this is under the office of the president, paragraph 184. So, sir, this is the final payment, sir. This would have been a contract entered into prior to 2015.
contractual
I mean, the
arrangement.
ongoing,
Yeah.
as you know, what they call probably a rollover contract, you would say.
Yeah.
So this was the final payment for these 9,609 laptops, Great Wall laptops. It stays there. Sir, so that one explains why the issues we have here now, that the payment, the final payment means that the contract would have been with the supplier prior to 2015, and they paid it in installments. So therefore, that is one. Secondly, sir, what is of note that we should be noting here, that what was and unfortunately, sir, heavy is the head that wears the crown, because it's now under your rule. So I would like to know, sir, that if the distribution of these laptops, was it taken over by the MDMA in 2016? And while they're asking, while they're debating that, I'd like to add a follow-up question, sir. The contract that was signed prior to 2015, can we provide this PSC with some further information? Because there's a contract that's signed. The supplier supplied the laptops. 2,900 were defective. Wasn't there a clause in that contract that would have said that, you know what I mean, if you supply damages, then these computers come under warranty or anything like that? You know what I mean? In the contract that they would have signed, you could have to contact the office of the president, maybe, right? But in most supply contracts done by any reasonable government or any reasonable procurement agency for equipment, there is normally a warranty period. Why weren't these computers in the contract? Why didn't they have a warranty period for it, Mr. Permanent Secretary?
Thank you, sir. I will deal with the question about the NDMA's role, which was e-government at that time. The laptops were stored at the e-government unit, and the distribution was done based on a list I gathered from the Ministry of Education at the time, and with the involvement of former Minister of Public Telecommunications. As regards the contract, I'm not in a position to speak to the contract, because that was done prior to my being involved in any aspect of this. I'll ask the Deputy General Manager if he has more light to shine, to shine on this matter, or the Deputy General Manager, Admin.
No, I'm sorry. I was not privy to the contract or its terms. So with regards to whether there was anything in there that would allow for the replacement of the damaged laptops, I would not be able to say.
Mr. Chair, you're not privy, but you are now being asked by the Public Accounts Committee if you can get a copy of the contract and specifically highlight for the Public Accounts Committee what warranties. I mean, so therefore, obviously, if you get a copy of the contract and provide, we can, for ourselves, ascertain what warranties are, what warranty period there was in place for defective laptops. Because $495 million is not a lot, is not a small, insignificant sum for us to just simply say we've taken no action.
Noted, sir.
Would a week suffice to provide PSU with a copy of that contract? Next Monday?
Will do, sir.
Thank you.
Come in person to deliver person?
Pardon?
Deliver person or send to the clerk?
Send it to the clerk. Yeah. Mr. Maipa.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chair. I have a problem now with the AG's report. Because, yes, we're dealing with 2016 report. But if you want to get a clear understanding of this issue, we have to go back to the other reports. And then probably an advantage is that we have all these other reports that we're yet to touch. But in the AG's 2015 report, it says the 9,609 laptops paid for during 2015 were received in April of 2016 and were physically verified. And in every other report going forward, it is saying that these laptops were received in February of 2016.
AG, can you give some clarity with regards to this glaring mistake here or oversight? Which exactly is the correct date of receipt of these laptops?
We'll need to check back this. As it has been repeated year after year. I would want to say it's February, but it's best that we check to ascertain the date. But for sure, we did a physical in September. In September of 2016, that is when we verified that
We received
2,959 laptops were damaged.
But it's saying here that it was received in April 2016 and were physically verified in the same sentence. The sentence is the 9,609 laptops paid for during 2015 were received in April 2016 and were physically verified, full stop. And then it goes on to say 128 of these laptops were issued during September of 2016. And the difference of 9,481 were still in stock. In addition, there were 2,959 damaged laptops on hand at the e-government unit. So there is, Mr. Chair, we need greater clarity on this matter. We cannot just let this flow over. It is a major concern. And I want to also point out what is mentioned in the AG's report of 2019. In 2019, the ministry's response was, the head of the budget agency explained during the period under review, the e-governance unit was under the supervision of the Office of the President. This matter is before the PS of that agency. That is what the ministry said to the AG. That was in 2019. Yes, the PS of the Ministry of Public Telecommunication responded to the AG's finding in 2019 by saying the matter is with PS of Ministry of Presidency, of Office of President. In 2018, the ministry's response to this very matter that we record, the head of budget agency acknowledged this finding. So I don't know what really is going on. that 1 year you're acknowledging the finding, the other year you're saying the problem is with another ministry, and then the AG's report has the different months, and then you have here in 2017, there is no response from the ministry. It was just documented as a prior year issue not resolved. 2016, it is the same, prior year issue not resolved. So there is no sequence of this issue and us seeing that there is an attempt to correct whatever is wrong. And I will not want to say that it seems as though we don't care about government money. So I believe that we need to get more information, a proper background with this matter so that we can rectify it. We're talking about $495 million in damages and $117 million in stolen article. So it is necessary for us to get more information, Comrade Chair, on this matter, and we revisit it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
No, let me hear the PS response before I give you the floor.
I didn't really put a question.
Just quickly, in response to the portion of the Mr. Member Naipal's observation about what appears to be the inconsistency of the PS's response, I'm here, so I think I'd like to just respond by saying my response is consistent with what I started saying at the beginning, that this matter is in the domain, or was in the domain of the Ministry of the Presidency, no, the Office of the President, and I welcome an opportunity to provide clarity on the issue.
We might very well have to invite the PS of Office of the Presidency to come and give some clarity. But it is also important that the audit office correct this mishap, these glaring mistakes. We cannot have the Auditor General's report consistently getting so many mistakes. It has to be corrected. So the PSC is mandating the audit office to do those corrections soonest, so that the records can reflect the true representation of what it should be. Mr. Siraj, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In keeping with the request made by colleagues earlier, Mr. Chairman, I would like to add a few questions which probably the PS could take into account in providing answers next week. And this got to do with these damaged laptops. I think the situation is clear with the ones that are stolen. Those are on the investigation. But in terms of the damaged laptops, we have to ascertain whether the manufacturer's defect and that, or whether these laptops got damaged during transportation, during storage. So that will lead to other questions as to when they were received, where they were stored, what kind of conditions that they were stored in, and if we can get a technical report as to what sort of damages or what causes damages. This might lead us to whether they're manufacturer defects or whether these laptops were damaged during storage. So I'd like the PS to take those comments into consideration in providing answers to requests that were made earlier. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a follow-up question for the audit office. Now, the report indicated that the audit office did the inspection and verification of the receipt of these 9,000 plus laptops. How was their inspection done? Because the member Siraj raised a very important point with regards to when was these damage discovered. Was it when it was received? Was it after it was received and it was stored? How exactly did the audit office conducted its examinations of these 9,000 plus laptops? Was it individually, or was it just physically looking at a whole bunch of laptops in boxes? How was it actually done?
We physically verified these laptops, every one of them. They were stored at the governance unit, so we went and we examined each one of them.
And none was damaged at the time.
Yes, this 2,959 were damaged.
So it came damaged.
That's at the time that we did the physical, which is what we're going to ensure that we get the correct date for you. We don't want to say it's April or February at this point in time. So we're going to get a date when we actually did the physical and we'll report that to you.
So there's a possibility that we could have received damaged laptops.
It's a possibility. But we can't be sorted here.
Go ahead.
Chair, thank you. I am saying let us not draw these assumptions and conclusions without factual data. There is need for a holistic report on this matter. This is a very, very important matter. It involves millions of dollars, and I believe we should await a report on this in its entirety before we draw any conclusion.
Audit office, would a week suffice for this report to be put to the PAC? Would a week suffice? Next Monday?
Provided we get all the information, Mr. Chair, a week will do.
Okay, Bishop Edge, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank you as well as the FS for providing me with a copy of the extraordinary copy of the Gazette that led to the creation of the Ministry of Public Telecommunications, dated 6th of January 2016, which indicated the National Data Management Authority fell under the ministry at that time. So having that clarification, I have some specific questions that I'd like to receive written answers. Number one, when were these laptops delivered to the purchaser and where it was delivered? Secondly, which agency handled the acceptance of these laptops? Number three, where were they stored? Number four, which agency handled the distribution of the laptops? We were told this is the one teacher per family, one laptop per teacher, which was the program that was reformatted from one laptop per family. Number five, I'd like to know when the NDMA discovered the 2,959 damaged laptops. Was the date or the period? And what were the circumstances that led to that discovery? Number six, a copy of the report of the discovery of the damaged laptops should be furnished. Number seven, an engagement between the procuring agency and the supplier, whether there was an exchange of letters, meetings, demand for the replacement of the damage, or in the absence of that, a report that indicated culpability Was the damage as a result of the supplier, mishandling of staff, or bad storage, or any other reason? And finally, number 8, what is the current position for the recovery of the sums and where are the current damaged laptops being held?
PS, you have all of that? I want to add another one. We need you to get from the police an update on where this investigation is. All right? Proceed.
Mr. Chair, before not just an update, this matter, it's a prior year matter, which means it's how it happened. This is in the report from the AGR. It's listed now 2016 audit report as a prior year matter, which means it would have occurred, and it's actually occurred in 2014. No. I am speaking about the stolen laptops. Thank you.
But if it's the stolen laptops, it's not the stolen 103 from the 29 that was procured in 2015?
No, it's a totally different thing. I'm asking a question on the 103 stolen laptops, which comes as a prior year matter. Thank you. Sir, so this is okay then, let us help the committee. When did the theft occur, Mr. Accounting Officer? The audit office, can you assist? Because you have seem to have all your notes with you.
Sorry, I didn't get a question.
The 103 stolen laptops that in paragraph 333. Further, we have the previous reported a police report in relation to 103 stolen laptops. When was this? When did the theft occur?
Yes, I signed it. While we await the response from the audit office, yes, the amount of questions posed, we need a timeline when you will provide us with the responses. Would a week suffice?
Could we ask for a fortnight, please?
All right. But we would like you to also send your information as you gather them to the audit office, because they have to do some correction of their own reports. All right.
Will do.
While the audit office is perusing their records to give us the exact date, at minimum, it's over 6 years. At minimum, 2015, 2014, I think it's 6 or 7 years. I think it's a 2014 theft, but they'll confirm that. And you're saying it's a police matter. Have you written to the police? Have they responded in writing? On the status of their investigation? And you can provide not just simply saying that you're waiting it. You can provide this public accounts with the information. Who was charged? What actions you have taken? What responses you've received from the police? and what's the status of their report? I mean, and why has this matter actually ever reached the courts?
I will seek the assistance of the PS Ministry of the Presidency and will compile a response to this.
Are you saying that you in your capacity as accounting officer has never, because this step did not occur under the Ministry of Public Communication, it still remains with the Office of the President to follow up with the police? Is that what you're saying?
I was dealing with it that way because it was the Ministry of the Presidency. I was the President, I was dealing with it originally, and they had the files, the information, the background, all the contracts, original contracts that were done, and so this matter was in the domain of the Office of the President. But as a accounting officer, as directed by this PSC, I will get the answers to the PSC.
Thank you. AG's office, do you have the response, Mr. Robinson?
Okay. This was reported in 2011, so I'm just going to go back in 2010 to see if it's even before. So I'm at 2011 right now, but it was reported in 2011.
So the 10-year-old police matter. You have a lot of work to do, PS. So 10 years ago, there was a report of 103 stolen laptops, and to date. Yeah, no, it started in 2014. That's why I was confident it's in 2014, right?
Sir, there was a one laptop for family program prior to the one laptop per teacher that came into effect in what we're looking at now. So I think the 103 stolen laptops had to deal with you had the one laptop for family. So we're talking about, I know that it is lumped in 1323, but we're talking about, I think, different initiatives from the ministers.
Are you sure about that, what you're talking? Because you say you think. We need accurate information, PS.
Well, I think it is reasonable to deduce, sir, that if we're talking about a payment that was made in 2015.
Well, we don't know. We don't want to make assumptions because we've seen, based on assumptions, the AG's report is being reflecting wrong information. So don't let us assume. Let us actually get the data and the evidence. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Member
I would like to make a comment and then I would like to ask a question.
Proceed.
I would like to ask PAC to treat with the Auditor General's report, even while it's not gospel and it is subject to error. We should treat with it in keeping with the spirit and intent of the Audit Act. And that we should be very careful about how we cast aspersions or bash that report.
Sir, I need to. No. You are, for the record, your comments could be recorded as if this PSC is putting the Auditor General's report in question.
That's what you did.
No. What we have said.
The record will show that.
What we have said is that the Auditor General's report would have gotten some mistakes, and we are of the view that the Auditor General's report should reflect what the actual evidence is. And we would have asked the Auditor General, based on what was revealed at this PSC, for him to make his corrections, as he would have done in previous meetings when we would have asked him to do so. Even today, the documents that were circulated to honorable members show that the Audit Office would have corrected the mistakes that they would have made. We are aware that the Audit Office can make mistakes, but we're saying we would rather those mistakes be very minute. And if it is observed, it needs to be corrected for the record of the Audit Office. That is what we're saying. No one is casting aspersions on the Office of the Auditor General.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to respectfully say to you that as a member of this committee, I'm intelligent enough to know what I heard. And secondly, I would like to, when I'm making an observation, not to be interrupted.
You will have to be interrupted if your observation
Mr. Chairman,
causes
Mr. Chairman.
aspersion on this entire PSC.
But
I will not accommodate that,
repeatedly
sir.
today you have made
I will not
aspersions on the
accommodate
Auditor
that.
General's report. And I'm saying as a member of the PAC, I will be very concerned about we should say, Mr. Auditor General, we would like you to verify this.
That
and
is
report
exactly
back.
what was done. That the audit report would have made a mistake. And if a mistake is made, honorable member, it has to be corrected. Even
Yes.
if it's by an agency or even the audit office.
Mr. Chairman,
And that is what we stand by,
have your way,
and we will
but
continue to have
I
that.
would like my concerns that I just repeated to be recorded.
That
I would
will,
like it to be
that
recorded.
will not be recorded.
You don't determine that?
No, I am saying to
You
you.
don't determine that, Mr.
I am
Chairman.
saying to you that what you want to be recorded
I am
at this
saying I'm expressing a
PSC
concern
is a
as a member of
misrepresentation. You have the floor.
Mr. Chair, earlier it asked for us to correct some mistake. I will have to investigate this before I could comment on this.
Thank you very much. That is all we would have been asking for. If observations have been made with regards to mistakes made in the report, for it to be corrected.
Mistake is an observation of a judgment.
Sir, just 1 minute, Comrade
Proceed.
Patterson. You have a report that is telling you that these computers were delivered in April. And then you got another report telling you that these computers delivered in February. You think that's a mistake there?
That has to be
Is
corrected.
there not a mistake there to be corrected? I don't understand what Comrade Edgel is saying.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just for the record, please permit me to read into the records page 95 of the 2015 report, paragraph 185, and I have to read into the records the 2016, because I would like it here, please. This is exactly what has been asked. Paragraph 185 of 2015, the 9,609 laptops paid for during 2015 were received in April 2016 and were physically verified. That, sir, is 2015. Yeah, but where is it? Sir, and I'm now reading to the record, sir, page 154 of the 2016 report. 9,609 laptops were paid for in 2015 and were received in February 2016. Physical verification in 2016 revealed that there were 2,959 damn laptops. And that, I think, is what PS is, because it is paragraph 185 of 2015 is saying that it was received in April, and paragraph
April
3,
of which year?
April of 2016. Do you want me to read? Let me read it over again let me read it over just again for the member, because just in case, and I'm reading. The 9,609 laptops paid for during 2015 were received in April 2016 and were physically verified. That, sir, is on page 95, paragraph, April 2016. Sir, we have now, sir, in the other one that they were received in February, sir, 2 months before, but they were also physically verified. And I think that was the query of public accounts. We're not casting aspersions or any single thing. there's a discrepancy in the report, and we ask the
It be
audit
corrected.
the right to be updated so that in our records, in our minutes, the audit office can say, well, the actual correct date of receipt is whatever date. It could even be a third date, but our records will reflect, and when we adopt it, we'll be adopting the corrected version. That, I think, that's not causing any aspersion. That is not breaking any audit act. That is not doing anything that I find is ultra virus of this community, of this committee.
Continue to attack the general's report.
We have the other remaining paragraphs for consideration. And let me remind all of us that this meeting is live.
3:30, Mr. Paragraph 3:30.
Proceed.
I read an explanation that there were some insufficient funds, so the ministry went into an escrow account and expended without the authority of either a supplementary provision or the Ministry of Finance. Could the PS indicate on whose authority that was allowed?
This was, in the rush to get the e-government moving in its responsibilities, funds were not allocated, and the escrow was a account set up to purchase items overseas, and this was utilized in this fashion. I acknowledge that board should have had prior approval from the Ministry of Finance to do this, and this was, even though it happened, was corrected subsequently.
But you are aware it's not just the spending from the account is the issue, but the monies in this account was for one purpose and it was used for another purpose. That is where the real issue is and where we fall into difficulty with the FMEA.
Yeah, the monies in this account was for acquiring equipment and other material that couldn't be sourced locally. And I am accepting that the relevant approvals weren't received. And when the funds were made available through the normal budget process, the money was replaced. But I do accept this was a breach of the FM regulations.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Members, any other questions? There being no other questions, PS would like to thank you and your team for making an appearance before the PSC. And please remember the request made by the Public Accounts Committee for those information to be forwarded to the clerk as well as the audit office to complete their work.
Thank you, sir, on behalf of myself and team.
Thank you.
We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not